Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Harley Nouveau, if you did not know. And today is going to be the first of 3 videos I will be uploading this week, the week of Thanksgiving. And I actually had this idea, from a recent video of which I was the subject by one of my favorite YouTuber, Body for Days. She's so amazing, she's so talented, and she's such a beautiful person inside and out. So I'm gonna link her channel down below if you wanna go check her out and see her video she did inspired by me. But what she did is she reached out to me and she asked to recreate one of my makeup looks. And then she recreated one of my makeup looks, pretty self-explanatory. I am, in honor of Thanksgiving, going to use this week to shout out to 3 people who I am very thankful for. And I'm going to recreate either a makeup look that they have done verbatim or inspired by them. While I do that, I'm just gonna talk about how much they mean to me, how much they've impacted me, and some of our experiences together. So it's gonna be, you know, wholesome, sweet, family-friendly content for you guys. On a side note, and if you did see that video that Body for Days posted, I graduated, yes. I actually passed my written exam today, and I'm waiting to take my practical exam. After that, I will be officially a licensed esthetician in the state of Texas. And don't want to jinx myself, but I do have a job lined up, which I will talk about after I start working there. So yeah. Now, before we dive into this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit that bell so you get notifications every time I post. Now that I am back into the swing of things, I am gonna try to post at least once a week. I'm gonna give myself like an easy goal to hit. I say that, but now that I'm done with school, should be a lot easier to hit. Add your name to the storybook that is my life. I'll be very grateful that you did. This video will be focused on my best friend. You, if you follow her on YouTube, know her as Kimani J, or if you follow her on Instagram. I have known her for 7 years now. She's been my best friend for pretty much the whole time, give or take a few months here and there. And if I did not have her in my corner, I honestly cannot tell you where I would be right now. I do know that I would not be in nearly as good of a position or as healthy of a position mentally. The look I am recreating today is this one right here. When it comes to makeup, I don't want to say she's basic. That's mean. She likes to keep it pretty simple. Occasionally she'll get out into a colorful eye like a berry or a red or a pink. But typically it's a neutral sparkly eye. She loves a red lip or a nude lip. So I wanted to pick something that I feel is quintessential her and something that I really don't do that often, if I'm gonna be honest with you. So I figured it'd be pretty fun. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is my brows. We actually do have that in common. And what I'll be using for that is the Anastasia Dip Brow, which I'm pretty sure she uses too. And it just happened to coincide like that. And I'll be using the Morphe M158 brush. I got it from the Pride Rainbow Collection. Didn't get the palette, wish I had, but hey, be grateful for what you have. So as I said, and as you might know if you've watched any of my Q&A videos, especially the one that I've done with Jasmine, I met Jasmine when I was a sophomore in college. My then best friend at the time, who I will not name because she doesn't need any publicity from me, had been looking for an apartment, and we found this really cool new development, and it was like individual leases. It was a townhouse, but you needed 4 people and we only had 3. And that 3rd person was one of the girls that we lived in the dorm with. So they randomly assigned us somebody. And I will say props to her for doing that. I don't know if I really would have been brave enough to jump into a house of 3 random strangers without any prior knowledge. So yeah, Jasmine happened to be that roommate that we got, that 4th roommate. From the jump when I met her, I'm gonna be honest, I thought she was like super bougie. Especially because at the time, I was still kind of in my, hot topic-y, like red and black, emo-y kind of phase. I was going through a lot. And in comes this girl who looks like she just has life by the balls with her fancy dog wearing clothes and her dog wearing clothes. Of course she's wearing clothes, but she had her dog wearing clothing also. And her nice car. And I was just like, oh my God, Regina George has moved in with me. But I don't want to say I was raised right, but I'm a good person. So I offered to help her unpack her things. I was the only one actually. It ended up being a bonding point. And after we unpacked her stuff, she took me to Taco Casa because it was a Tuesday and I'd never been before. So Taco Tuesday for the first time, and we just started chatting. And if my memory serves me correctly, we hit it off really well right away. I'm using a makeup wipe to remove some of the excess oil on my skin because she's been oily today. So Jasmine and my then best friend at the time did not get along at all. And I can expound on this later, but my then best friend at the time and I were kind of involved with a love triangle with this guy. So things between us were getting really tense. And Jasmine and I were just bonding and getting closer and closer. She never really twisted my arm about it, but she did point out to me that this wasn't a healthy friendship I was in, and I am super trusting and naive, so I was like, no girl, it's fine. Anyway, eventually things just kind of bubbled until it boiled over, and my friendship with that girl was no more, and Jasmine had solidified her place in my heart. So next thing I'm gonna do is my eyeshadow because I don't want to get any fallout on my face makeup. So I'm going to use this L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear Concealer in whatever color. This is a 340. And I'm going to use this to put a base down for my eyeshadow and also clean up underneath my brows a little bit. And to do that, I will just be using this Luxie Small Shader Brush. After that drama happened involving my former best friend who I upgraded to Jasmine with, we decided to stay roommates for the next year, which was Jasmine's last year of college and my junior year. We really avoided drama for the most part. There were only maybe like one or two little incidents that happened, including Jasmine and I's first ever fight, which lasted about 2 days, and then we made up because we're able to communicate. I think that I'm gonna use this fluffy end of this Profusion brush I got from one of my Profusion palettes to blend this out a little bit, make it look a little more less streaky, a little more covered. I think honestly, one of my favorite things about Jasmine and I's relationship as friends is that for the most part, we've always been able to communicate. There have been a few hiccups here and there, whether it be like she's going through something or I'm going through something at the time. It's really impeding our ability to express our thoughts and feelings, but I've never had a problem with telling her how I feel and vice versa. I think that that really has helped us have a healthy, consistent friendship through the years. For today's neutral, sparkly eye look, I'm gonna go in using the Pure Festival palette. And my first color I'm gonna put down as my transition color is actually gonna be this color here, Epic. And I'm using the JH33 brush, just a fluffy little brush. Now, unfortunately, when that year ended, that meant that Jasmine was graduating. And I, of course, still had time left because I was a junior, not a senior. Oh, I don't know if I like this brush. Okay, I was not a fan of that brush, so I'm gonna switch over to this Luxie tapered blending brush. Yeah, she was graduating, and of course, I was super happy for her. But I'll admit, I'm somebody who has always not struggled with friends. Like, I had a hard time making friends. I had a hard time really, personally, myself, feeling attached to people. I don't know if that's a byproduct of the way I was raised or what have you, but it's not easy for me to really keep contact. I've had plenty of friends through years that I'm close with at the time, but then when distance separates us, it's kind of like, life just pulls us apart. That's why I'm always talking about how there are people who come into your lives for chapters, there are people who come into your lives for pages, there are people who are there from beginning to end, and that's okay. But Jasmine really is the first person that I felt that she was gonna be a big part of my life for a really long time. And as we were getting ready to have her graduate, of course, that meant that I was gonna be needing new roommates because that third girl, she was going off with her best friend, and our new random person that we had moved in with, other Jasmine, her and I weren't really close like that. So I decided to room with somebody who I should not have, and honestly, similar to my old best friend, Jasmine had warned me plenty times, this girl is toxic, get out of there, but hey. But alas, the day came that we had to part our ways, and she moved off to do an internship because one thing that Jasmine's always been amazing at is going after what she wants and achieving success. So she landed an internship right out of college, and she moved back to, I want to say, the state where her family was living at the time, and I stayed behind. Yeah, and I struggled, I'm not gonna lie. Next, I'm gonna go in with Hidden Desert here on a Luxie eye shading brush, and I'm just gonna apply that all over the lid. She moved on. She went on to go achieve her dreams, and I was left behind. I don't mean that in a bad way. I stayed behind because I had to, and I'm not gonna lie, I struggled. I have always had a really bad problem with attaching myself to people who are not the healthiest for me for the most part. And my years in college, I was very lost as a person, and Jasmine, when she was around, helped me kind of keep my head on straight, but she wasn't around anymore, and she was busy, I was busy, and the person I was around at the time really had a lot of control over my life. One thing I've been working on through the years, that especially as you hear me talk about my life in the past, you'll see that I struggled with, was this sense of self-control, having ownership over my own actions. I was always kind of an innocent bystander to the people I cared about and what they wanted me to do with my life. So Jasmine and I grew apart. Well, we didn't grow apart per se, but we grew out of touch. Okay, so next up, I'm gonna go in with All Night here, and I'm gonna put that on the outer half, 1/3 of my eye with this Jaclyn Hill JH41 Morphe brush. I'm gonna say a good 1.5 years passed where we had very minimal contact with each other. And a lot of that was really through my own fault. I've always been, as I've said, really bad about getting caught up in my own life. So if someone doesn't make the effort to talk to me every day, it's not that I won't make the effort to talk to them. I will literally forget they exist. And I've worked really hard on that through the years to stop doing that, but unfortunately, many people have fallen casualty to that trait about me. But I was having to navigate the sea of life by myself, and I was not the best captain at the time. Okay, next up, I'm going to take this Thrive Cosmetics black liner, and I'm gonna line my waterline and the tight line my lid, and then try to smudge that out a bit so it's a little more smoky. Fortunately, life has its way of having you learn those lessons you need to learn, and I reached a really dark place in my life where my mental health was the lowest it had ever been, and I was really struggling with surviving. I was in a dark, deep, dark place that I really did not ever want to be at. I never want to be again. And I was contemplating making some very poor choices against myself and against those around me that luckily I was able to overcome. And then just using a tiny little brush, this is an Elf lip brush actually, I'm going to smudge that. Unfortunately, that did mean I had to leave a lot behind and take some consequences. And I'm still dealing with some of those consequences to this day, but the alternative was much worse. So I moved back to where it all began and tried to start over. And a year or two went by, a year and a half went by, some really horrible things happened to me. Around October of 2018, after really not having much contact for about a year and a half, I reached out to Jasmine again, and I let her know, hey, I am so happy to have met you and to have you in my life and to call you my friend. And even though we haven't really talked because of this, that, or the other, I've always carried you with me. I still love you. I really hope that we can see each other soon because I don't want to ever let you go. That sounds crazy. I don't want to ever lose you. And she was lovely and gracious, and she responded back to me saying, hey girl, same. And we started talking again, and life got a little bit brighter. Okay, that's all I'm gonna do right now on this eye because I wanna wait to try to get the finishing touches until after the rest of my makeup is done. Well, I'm gonna repeat that onto the other eye real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, so now that it's on both eyes, I'm gonna move to face makeup. Jasmine and I actually both like the same primer, which is the No Problem primer. The difference between us, however, is that I prefer, as I've said over my previous videos now, less full coverage foundation because I feel it always makes me look super cakey. Jasmine, however, is a full coverage girl because she has amazing skin. So because it is in honor of her, I am going to do my damn best to do a full coverage look. So I'm gonna be mixing the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear, which is one of my favorite foundations, with the Maybelline Superstay, which is very full coverage. And we're gonna hope we can get something amazing with that. I'm gonna use the No Problem as the primer. And for that all, I'm going to use the Luxie Round Top Blender brush right here. So fun fact for those of you that don't know, Jasmine actually had thrown around the idea of being a YouTuber back in 2014. Specifically a makeup YouTuber, because she'd always really been into beauty more so than I was at the time. I was in school for painting, as I'm sure everybody knows because I talk about it 4 billion times. And she told me that she really wanted to try it out, asked me what I thought of it, and I've always really liked her personality, so I thought, hey, I like you, everyone else will like you too, you know? As if the world worked that way. I don't know if she actually tried to film any around that time. She didn't really start posting until years later, but that was when she first threw around the idea of that. And I always thought, as I said when I first met her, that Jasmine was obviously really pretty. I think that's where a lot of the tension came between her and the other girls, to be honest. She has a very dominant personality. Honestly, there's a lot of things about her that I admire and wish that I possessed, besides, you know, just being a high-ranking number on the scale of beauty. I think that I've always really admired her confidence, and even if she wasn't confident, she faked it, because she's always come across as someone who's very secure of themselves to me, and almost unshakable in a way, which is a heavy role to play. My mother was like that. Jasmine is somebody that I know if I want the tea, if I want the truth, if I really want to be told what is, I know I can go to her. She will not spare my feelings. Sometimes it can come across a bit harsh, but you know, you need people like that to keep you in check. I talked about that in my Beauty and the Tea video about friendship. So I've always really loved how authentic she was. She's one of those people I feel like you see her on the street and you wonder, who's that girl? Who's that girl? You see her on the street, there's just something about her, like, it sounds like I'm hyping her up a lot. She has a certain gravitas to her, like there's something that attracts people to her. She looks like, in the movies, she's that girl, you know? That's why I said Regina George. Not that she's mean, but people can tell that she has that it factor, I feel like. And people are intimidated by that. She does have her, I guess you could call them shortcomings. I do feel like she can come across a bit judgmental or cold. And a little bit distant. She also is very apathetic about a lot of things. So that was an adjustment, but I feel like all of that, for the most part, are things that I like about her because they add to who she is. Probably should have told you what I was saying. So next, I'm going in with that concealer I used on my face, and I'm just putting that in areas I want a little bit more coverage and to brighten up a little bit. This is like very surface value, but one of my favorite things about her and about our friendship is that she loves the holidays as much as I do. We actually just got done doing this tree behind me the other day. I've always loved having somebody that can share in the excitement because this is my favorite time of the year, bar none. And I feel like she is the only person I've ever met that gets that. Now before my face cracks off, I'm gonna set it with some setting powder. This is the Maybelline Fit Me. Jasmine actually got me addicted to this too. I'm just gonna use a really big fluffy brush for that. Now the color I'm using does have a bit of tint to it. I like doing that because otherwise I feel like I look like uncooked chicken. Thank you, Teresa, is that again. Well, I look like a zombie, but it's cool. So next I'm gonna go in with contour. I used, you're seeing a theme here and you'll see why I picked her. I'm using Milani's, their Silky Matte Bronzing Powder. This is in Sunlight 01. This is my favorite contour color because I feel like it adds warmth, but it's not too warm, if that makes any sense. And you can guess who introduced me to this product. It was Jasmine. Which brings me to one of the reasons why I think that you guys especially should be, that sounds egotistical, should be grateful for her, because when I was done with college, I really was over the drawing and painting thing. For this step, I'm gonna be using a combination of this Luxie small contour brush and this Moda fluffy brush. When I was done with college, I was done. I had zero passion left for drawing and painting at the time. I didn't want to look at a paintbrush. I didn't want to look at oil paint. I wanted to do God knows what, but it wasn't paint. And I've always been an artist, so I was struggling to find a creative medium. I've always been really into drag, so I thought about doing that, but unless you just want to be a busted queen, drag costs a good amount of coin that I did not have. But what I did have was enough money for drugstore makeup, and I remembered that Jasmine was really into beauty and makeup. And I felt like it was a good intersection of the artistic side of me and the cliche gay side of me. I know that sounds terrible. I remember that she had started a YouTube channel. So I started watching it and I started playing around with makeup. So if you wonder who got me into this, look no further than Kimani J. It is thanks to her that you have this monster. No, it is thanks to her that I ever wanted to be part of the beauty world with any real substance, in any real lasting way. It is now one of my favorite things, if not my favorite thing about life. And that's why a lot of my products that I use are things that she introduced me to, because prior to getting into this, I knew nothing about it. Like prior to her getting me on this train, I knew nothing about cosmetics. I knew virtually nothing about makeup other than what I learned in cosmetology for like the first year I ever took it. And you can still see that influence. Now that I've been at this for about a year, I'm starting to kind of do my own thing, quit listening so much to other people and what's on trend, and just do what I enjoy. That's why you don't see me do as heavy of a full coverage anymore. And you don't see me do like super harsh contour or anything like that. But yeah, it's thanks to her that I ever dipped my toes into this world. Not that she's not a makeup enthusiast still, but I feel like in a lot of ways, the roles have kind of reversed in that, like, I am now the one who is obsessed with makeup and has the YouTube channel, and she's kind of taken a step back. She's been in her modeling thing, slaying the game. I'm gonna go in with a touch of the Morphe Glamour Bronze Bronzer and Icon, just add a little bit more warmth. I know this seems really heavy for me, but this is a Jasmine-inspired look, so we're gonna commit. Next, I'm gonna go in with some blush. I'm gonna be using the Alamar Cosmetics blush palette, and I'm gonna use a combination of these two colors. And the brush I'm gonna use for that is the Morphe Jeffree Star blush brush. I forgot what it's called, but it's the JS2. There's so many things I question with my life. If you know me, you know I'm somebody that, as I've always described it, has been burdened with regret over like every decision I've ever made. That is a lot of blush. And I can say proudly that being friends with Jasmine, and especially reaching back out to her after all that time, is not something that I regret or ever see myself regretting. Everybody needs that person in their life who, I don't want to say makes everything better, but who they feel like they have in their corner. No matter what happens, they feel like that person will back them up. That person will be on their side. That person will be on their team. And for me, that is Jasmine. Jasmine is that person. Okay, next up I'm gonna spray my face down because I wanna add some highlight. And to do that, I like to have it a little bit moist. And I'm just gonna be using this Smashbox primer water. Okay, so this next step is something that you will never ever see me do to this degree, because I'm really not a fan of it because of my skin type, and that is highlighting. Jasmine is a highlighting queen. She likes to glow greater than the gods, and I'm going to use this palette that was the first Christmas present I ever gave her that was makeup related, and that is the 24 karat highlighting palette from Jeffree Star Cosmetics. And I'm gonna go in with Sarcophagus here, and I'm gonna be using the Luxie tapered highlighting brush. Look at that. Oh, Jasmine, are you proud of me? $10 says it's gonna be gone in a minute though, because that's how it always works for me. Okay, next I'm gonna go in with that same color on the JS6 brush from the Jeffree Star Morphe collection. I'm just gonna highlight my brow bone and a little bit of my inner corners. Okay, I look like I was dipped in an oil slick, but that's what we're going for. So next I'm gonna do mascara and lashes and lipstick, and I will be done. The lipstick I'm using is gonna be the Cruella de Vil lipstick from the Disney ColourPop collection. Lashes are from some random place I don't know. And then I'm gonna be using the Thrive Cosmetics mascara. So let me get to that and I will be on to wrap this up. Okay, so 2 things. I'm popping back in here real quick. I forgot that I got my eyelashes lifted and it's really hard to put on fake lashes, so I can't do that. And also the look I'm recreating, she has glitter on her eye, so I meant to do that. So I'm gonna take some of this glitter right here and I'm gonna put it along my inner corners. Wish me luck, because if you remember, I am terrified that I'm gonna get glitter all over myself and die, so I'm scared. And that is the finished Kimani J Jasmine look. Let me know what you think about it down below. I don't know if I've really ever done anything like this. I'm kind of digging it, to be honest with you. I don't know if I would ever wear it out, but hey. So let me know down in the comments what you think. Did you like this look? Did you not like this look? Did you have any thoughts on anything I've said today? Did you want to let Jasmine know how much you love her? Let her know down here. Let her know on her page, which will be linked below. Before I sign out, Jasmine, if you're watching this, I just want to say thank you so much for being my friend. I really don't know if I can stress to you how much you mean to me. I know that we don't get along 100% of the time, though it's very close. Things have been really tense and awkward with me lately because I know I've been going through a lot of stuff, and I really want to let you know that I love you and I appreciate how much you've done for me, and I will always be grateful, and I wish you every happiness. So with all of that being said, as always, I am Harley Nouveau, and until our stars next align, happy Thanksgiving.